of employee surveys for one of the largest employee survey companies in the world recently told me that in their surveys they ask people to write in one thing that would make this company a better place to work. And all over the world, the most common thing that people write in is, this company, this organization would be better if we just collaborated more, if we just cooperated more together. I'm Dr. John Izzo, and I'm in the business of conversations that make the difference. And today I'd like to talk to you about why cooperation and collaboration may be literally the most important thing for your business, maybe even for the world. Now, the interesting thing is if you study the evolution of the earth, the evolution of humanity, you'll find that you hear a lot about competition. Like Darwin is routinely credited with the idea of survival of the fittest. Only those who compete succeed. But if you actually read Charles Darwin's work, you discover that he spent even more time talking about cooperation. He was fascinated by the fact that almost all of the interesting and most profound things that have happened in the world have happened through cooperation. Here's a simple example. You and I, our bodies, are literally millions of cells cooperating and collaborating to create this thing we call ourselves. If you look at ecosystems all over the world, forests and oceans, they're pretty much a bunch of different organisms, often millions, that somehow interact together to allow the ecosystem to be sustained. So it turns out that collaboration and cooperation are important not only in the world of business, but in nature as well. So what does this mean in a practical way? Let me give you some examples. The first thing that it means is if I am an individual in a company, I've got to keep my head up. And what I mean by that is that I should constantly be thinking not just about my function or my role or my department, but how am I impacting others and how can I contribute to their success? It means that if you're in a business and people criticize you, you should constantly be asking, how can we cooperate with those who are criticizing us in order to find a solution? A great example of that is Victoria's Secret, the folks who published the catalog, who were taking heat for many years for the fact that they were using old-growth forests to create the paper for their catalogs. And for years, Victoria's Secret was in a catfight with the people criticizing them until finally they said, let's sit down and see if we can find a solution together. Let's collaborate instead of compete. Now, not only did they solve the problem for the forests, but they actually got accolades from those who used to criticize them. Think about other examples, companies like Apple, for example, that are collaborating and cooperating increasingly with the folks who make the music and make the videos so that instead of competing with each other, they're finding a way to create win-wins. All over the world, what we're seeing is that those who are most successful at collaboration and cooperation are actually the ones who are going to be most successful. So one of the challenges today is always asking, how can we collaborate instead of compete as our default? And it's interesting, in nature, we know that the most robust ecosystems are where the species are cooperating with each other, not when they're competing. That biodiversity of cooperation is actually what makes an ecosystem robust. I'm Dr. John Izzo. I'm in the business of conversations that make the difference. And I'd like to challenge you to think, how can we cooperate with our competitors? How can we cooperate with our critics? How can I cooperate with other departments and other functions and keep my head up? And we'd love to hear at the bottom of this page, how are you discovering that cooperation and collaboration, not just competition, is really the key to success? We'd love to hear what you're doing and also your ideas.